So here to provide us an insights and for the topic regarding PNS or the Philippine National Standards IEC 60364-1 or the low voltage electrical installation, allow me to introduce our next speaker, Engineer Conrado C. Binondo. Engineer Conrado C. Binondo is a professional electrical engineer with over 40 years of experience in electrical design, auditing, consultancy, and testing and commissioning of medium voltage to low voltage systems. An ASEAN certified energy manager and auditor, he is the first Filipino IEC 1906 awardee for his contributions to IEC TC 64. He specializes in electrical audits, substation upgrades, preventive maintenance, and generator synchronization and power management systems. He serves as the chairman of the IIEE Standards Committee and DTI BPS TC77 and is an active member of several IEC and BPS technical committees. His recognitions include the BPS UL Impactful Leader of 2025, IIEE Service Awards, MMRC Excellence in Service Award, and induction into the 2024 IIEE College of Fellows. He is currently the president of Electus Electrotechnical Incorporation and general manager and owner of the Electus Trading and Technical Services. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all give the virtual floor to our chairman of Standards Committee, Engineer Conrado C. Binondo. Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, good afternoon everyone, and a blessed Saturday to everyone. So, medyo umuulan ngayon dito, but anyway, let's discuss the IEC 60364 standards. And maliwanag ba yung mukha ko? You can see me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, it has been a nice topic to hear since this morning. Nandyan ako. I want to learn from all our previous speakers. And I learned a lot. Kahit maputi na yung buhok natin, this is a continuous process sa ating buhay na we have to continue to learn, not to earn only CPD, but to, of course, to improve yung ating mga awareness about what's happening in our profession. And patuloy lang tayo na makinig at tingnan natin kung ano yung pwede nating matutunan sa ating mga speakers, especially puro chairman ito. Then I think it will help us a lot in our careers sa ating mga profession. So, without further ado, let me, teka muna, pakita ko yung, let me share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen clearly? Can you confirm? It's okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So it's a full view, yung screen natin. Then you see the title of our topic for today is all about IEC 60364-1, the new edition 2025. For the meantime, I did not add before IEC the Philippine National Standard because recently we have just approved this and submitted for adoption, the new version. It will come out probably in a few weeks. It's already approved by the committee, so nasa BPS na. And this will be circulated, probably by July. So it's a very good update on the new edition of the standard. So here we are going to understand the 6th edition, Bali 6th edition na ito, of the low voltage electrical installations. And by the way, I just want to thank you again for being here. As electrical practitioners, our primary duty is the safeguarding of our life and property from electrical hazard. But as the landscape of electrical engineering evolves, shifting from the traditional passive distribution to highly complex decentralized systems, our standard references baseline must also evolve. So the same with our Philippine Electrical Code. So today we are going to unpack a critical milestone in global electrical engineering, the newly released IEC 63364-1 2025 edition. We will discuss its structural challenges or its changes in its technical innovation, and most importantly, how is this impact our local practice in relation to the Philippine Electrical Code and our work as Filipino engineers? So today's objective is we have to see the overview of the IEC 63361 standard. Actually, I have been showing this in all my webinars, no, with regards to IEC. Now, but let me show you now the 2025 edition. So let's decode the 6th edition to understand the structural and technical changes in this standard, highlight industry shifts, no, examine why prosumers, energy efficiency, and lifestyle safety are now standard mandates. Bridge to local practice, align these international rules with PEC implementation, and empower our practitioners, no, equipping local PEs, REs, and RMEs to utilize global rules under the local legal frameworks. No? But before we dive into the text, let's lay out our roadmap for this session. We have 4 clear objectives. First, we will decode the architecture. Second, we will look at the industry shifts. Third, we will bridge the international rules with local PEC. And finally, we want to empower, our purpose to empower our electrical practitioners so that by the end of this presentation, you should feel confident navigating the new standard when designing, for example, for the multinational clients, high-tech facilities, or green energy grids right here in the Philippines. So this is the overview of the structure of the 60364-1. Okay, it's the same with the previous, the schematic or the diagram, but if you could observe the part 1, there's a shift and the numbering of the clauses here. So first we have the part 1. This is the scope. We mentioned here the fundamental principles, the assessment of the general characteristics, conductor arrangement. What is the most important part of this fundamental principles, the electric systems, or what we call it before the grounding systems or the earthing systems. But now in IEC, we call it now electric systems. And this is pertaining to the usual TN, PT, IT configuration of the electric systems. So that is part 1, which we are going to discuss today, this afternoon. And we have also the part 4, which is very important, because our code refers to the protection for safety. Nasa Article 1 yan. And number 1 is part 41. It talks about the protection, the requirements of protection against electric shock. In part 42 is the protection against thermal effects. And part 43 is protection against overcurrent. And part 44, protection against overvoltage. So this protection for safety is the most important, protection of safety in any installation, in the low voltage installation, a building. Okay, then after that, we have the part 5. Part 5 is now going to the device selection. So in part 4, you have all the requirements of the standard. But in part 5, you have to apply or select the right devices for the installation. Okay, then what is considered in part 5 is external influences. How does the ambient temperature, for example, humidity, will affect your installation? Okay, then you have to consider this. Part 52 is about wiring selection. This is similar to in the chapter 3 of our code, which are the what we call it current carrying capacity of all the conductors, and of course the installation methods of these conductors. Part 53 is the selection of protective devices and switching devices pertaining to circuit breakers, selecting the residual current devices, the surge protective devices, and so on. Then in part 54, we have the earthing arrangements. In the earthing arrangement, if you could see in part 1, you have the electric systems, the TNT, TIT, but the moment these are both for the source, But when you enter the premises or the installation, you have to arrange, properly your grounding, your banding, what we call in the code is the equipment grounding conductors, the banding of all the exposed conductive parts. So, and also the grounding rods, how they are being implemented, what are the size, the grounding rods, and all of this is included in the earthing arrangement. Now in part 55, this is other equipment. This pertains to the standby generating sets, and any rotary generators that is used, for example, as a standby source of supply in your installation. So it addresses this one. Now in part 56, this is all on the safety services. And in part 57, now we have, this is new one, this is the stationary batteries, or what we call the battery energy storage system. It's all addressed in this part of the standards. And now these are what we call in part 4, part 5, these are the safety aspect of the installation. But in IEC 60264, we consider the functional aspect. Functional aspect pertaining to part 8, there is the part 8-81. This is energy efficiency. We discussed a while ago what's energy efficiency. One of our chairman talked about this, and this is the standard in Europe. In most of the IEC countries using IEC, they are using the energy efficiency requirements standards. Part 8-81. Then part 8-82, this is now what we call the prosumer electrical installations, okay, or PEI. Department of Energy has just used the prosumer installation in their terminologies. This is coming from the word that you produce and you consume, because before we are just a consumer of electricity, but because of the advent of the solar energy installations, then we are now we became now what we call a PEI. Our installation is now a prosumer electrical installations. And part 8, which is a technical specification, it's the operation of the prosumer installations. So all these one are the functional aspect. Importantly, there is one very important in the installation, which is called verification. This is actually inspection. Okay, what we call inspection, this is during the construction, there is a process that you have to conduct inspection or verification just to ensure that what you have designed, okay, in requirements of part 4 and part 5 are being implemented, during the construction. So this is the requirements in the construction. And also there is a post verification, probably related to what we call preventive maintenance, and periodic inspection of the installations to ensure that the installation continuously function according to its design, how it's being designed. So we need to inspect this every time. So annual preventive maintenance is one of those, or periodic, what we call this, predictive maintenance. So those are verifications. Now, there is part 7 down, if you could see here. These are for spatial locations, because the requirements of part 5, part 4, these are general requirements, but sometimes specific requirements are required. For example, in bathroom, there are specific requirements on how to install, on how to put, for example, install protective devices like the residual current devices. There are special ways on how to do it. In 702 swimming pool, okay, it treats differently. There are special requirements. So we cannot cover this in generally the protection against electric shock, it covers, but how to install this one in swimming pool, it's different, So there is specific requirements and so on and so forth. Then even in the PV, there is special ways how to have construct a safe PV installation. And of course, in medical also location, this is very important also. And now we have the supply of electric vehicles, now we have a new standards, what we call this update on the supply of electrical EV, vehicles, because now of the technology of probably not only supplying source, to the EV, but also when the EV becomes already a generator, no, that you supply it going back to your installation. So there's different now on how to treat the installations. Okay, so these are the main schematic presentation and the overview of 60364-1. It will come out now probably in a few weeks as a PNS, IEC 60364 standard. Okay. Now, the introduction to IEC 60364-1 2025. As we know, there is a foundation for this, that the parent document governing all low voltage electrical installation globally up to 1,000 volts AC and 1,500 volts DC. Above this, we treat it in IEC as a high voltage. So, yun na yung pinag-uusapan yung medium voltage, extra low voltage. There are only two categories. Okay, we call it the low voltage and the high voltage, because there is an installation rules for high voltage. It's a different standard. But as far as low voltage is concerned, IEC 60364 is for the low voltage installation. So, historical milestone, this 6th edition published late 2025. Okay, it supersedes and completely replaces the 5th edition, which has not been in effect. So imagine 20 years, since 2005. So this is available as a PNS, but it's 2005. So matagal masyado. Why it took long this time? Because normally the part 1 of the standard, this is the part na seldom na nagagalaw ito eh. Hindi siya ginagalaw. Except dun sa mga ibang part, yung part 5, part 4, part 5, 8, 7. This will make a lot of changes. Every 3 years may nangyayari. There are maintenance team, project teams in IEC to conduct, to maintain the standards. But usually itong part 1, it takes really a lot of times. But now because of the technology, yung emerging technology, so we have to move to another version to consider this. Like for example, the green transition, which modernizes infrastructure for decentralized renewable energy. Now, very important, ito, yung emerging technology on smart and DC grid. Probably it's the first time you will hear this, but I will explain later kung ano ito, what is happening in the IEC standards, about establishing the fundamentals, okay, for direct current distribution architectures. Probably this will answer our yung kanina, they raised a question that the EV, for example, other electronic equipments is affecting the utility, merong mga harmonics, whatever disturbance na ginagawa, lalo na pag maraming naka-deploy sa isang installation. So how many of this one will really affect our DUs? So may mga mga concerns na raised. But of course, the standards is a international, so most of us actually we are discussing the experts from different countries, like industrialized countries, developing countries, and we are all in a table to discuss, for example, the technical issues, the best practice in the various countries to contribute to the improvement of the standard. So holistic approach is to integrate energy efficiency. So kanina we talk about energy efficiency, which is directly into the fundamental safety of principles. So kanina tinitingnan natin na purely it's all safety aspect now. Why is it that yung kwan ngayon, yung energy efficiency is directly now linked to the fundamental safety principles. So yun yung pag-uusapan natin mamaya, kung ano talaga yung kwan niya, yung connection. Okay? So next, if you this one, let's look a high level of summary, the major technical changes at a glance of the standard. So if you could see here the impact, the document structure, 2005 edition is the old traditional close. So normally nag-start kami dito ng section 131, section 13, mga ganon, di ba? It's not really related to part 1, yung nomenclature na ginagamit. So in 2025, completely restructured the number. So 1.2, this one now, yung una, this is related now to the part 1 of the standard. So grid interaction. So before 2000, we have just standards consumer only, di ba? Consumers lang, user of the power from the DUs, for example. But now, into 2025, we emphasize yung dedicated rules for the prosumers, no? You produce and consume. Yung mga on-use na tinatawag natin na mga natin, yung mga PV or BESS battery in our home, then of course we also export through net metering, rules. So yan yung tawag natin dyan is we are called the PEIs. And now the system scope, for example, the impact area is general building wiring. So very normal siya. But now it's different. We include now the EV charging, okay? Static batteries and the PV systems. Ito yung malaking impact sa ating installation that which if we don't take care of it, talagang it's an hazard, no? It's an electrical hazard sa ating mga installation. So ito dapat yung ina-highlight natin palagi, when we discuss all about the regulations, the policies, no? The policies are good, but normally the policies are general guidelines to be followed by any regulating companies, agencies. But of course, there are institutions to put up technical regulations. Ang part natin sa electrical engineer is to help, is to put our skills, yung experience natin, expertise in putting up, helping in putting up a technical regulation, lalo na ngayon sa panahon na ito because of this system scope ng installation. Okay, ito yung asset life cycle, which is very important, initial verification focus to, nakafocus lang. Umpisa, then pagkatapos iwanan mo na, okay na yan, normally this is what's happening to our in our home, yung mga bahay natin, because this is a small installation, maliit lang naman yung yung installation na ito, medyo pwede pang ma-accommodate natin na pwedeng as it is na rin yun, di ba? Unless na mayroong problema, then we consult, of course, electrical practitioners, yung license, electrical practitioners. But ang application nito, mostly because of the industry, yung malalaki, and from commercial, industrial, and so on, there is now what we call the mandatory periodic verification. So in Europe now, ito mandatory na ito. Pag in-adapt itong standard na ito, it will become, for example, in the CENELEC, the countries of Europe wherein unified yan, ina-adapt nila yung security, but they follow it with their name, yung kwan nila, yung country nila. Then of course, there is also the CE marking where they base this on the standard. So ito yung kailangan ngayon, mandatory na to. Like for instance, in the Philippines, any facilities dito, yung mga buildings, before you have a permit sa ating mga LGUs, and then you have to submit yung mga annual preventive maintenance validation mo dun sa sa installation, so that you'll be issued a permit to operate. These are nandito na yan sa Pilipinas, but in IEC ito ngayon ginawang mandatory na period. Then in innovation is strictly product standard bound, So ito na ngayon, a framework for new materials without active product standards. So nakikita natin dito how are this being addressed, nauna na yung standards o yung code. Now we have a new product, which is not being addressed or hindi sakop, mukhang naiwanan yung tinatawag natin yung paggawa ng code, pag-adapt ng code, napakarami ng product ang lumabas, So these are the things na it's being addressed now. It's being addressed by the new standard. Okay. So next, we have to deep dive now. So let's talk about the scope of Clause 1.1, which has been heavily expanded to reflect modern infrastructure. So the standard explicitly states it now applies to a system that many of us are designing daily: stationary, secondary batteries, low voltage generating sets, solar PV system, and what the code terms temporary connected batteries, which refers specifically, ayan yung tinatawag nating electric vehicles. Ito yung kanina diniscuss ng vehicle to grid technology, V2V. Okay, there is also an interesting addition that local communications and data center engineers should note. It now formally covers fixed wiring for information and communication technology, or ICT, including the mechanical support and infrastructure for the fiber optic installations. If you are designing modern smart buildings or industrial processing plant, these standards act as your macro level blueprint. Ano? So, nandyan lahat. Kasama na lahat ngayon yan. Okay? The expanded scope for modern applications. Now, let's talk about this diagram. No? The IEC-related standards relating to, because if you could see, all this one are part of the IEC 60364. No? So these are the normative references in implementing the requirements of the standard. So we have standard 557 kanina. Ito yung mga stationary secondary batteries. Nandyan yung BESS natin yung ginagamit. Then we have the 712 that pertains about the solar PV, okay, power supply systems. At ito ngayon, yung bago, yung 716, ito ngayon yung ELV, extra low voltage DC power distribution over information and communication technology or ICT. Ito yung mga cable infrastructures. Now, yung EVs natin, dati supply to EV lang, but now 722 is now called electric vehicles energy transfer. So imagine the shift, yung opposite. No? Dati one lang, forward, backward na ngayon. So bidirectional yung ating EV. Now in 751, we have the low voltage generating sets. Does not mean to say na diesel lang ito, generating sets. Sa PV also is considered as a generating set. Basta mag-generate siya ng electricity. Of course, there are requirements kung ano yung prime mover mo. There are many, yung solar, for example, biomass energy, yung turbine, lahat ng energy sources. We can consider this in this standard. Then part 81 is we consider energy efficiency. Part 82, of course, the prosumer low voltage electrical installation. And part 83, ito na yung natin, yung prosumer operation of the prosumer electrical installation. So let me put up this one. Ito yung bago, emerging technologies, emerging architectures, we will see this in the future. Okay, kaya inuunahan na ng standard kung ano yung mangyayari, And this is from AC to DC distribution. This is the new architectures are emerging. So this is the fast development of new loads and sources lead to question about the use of DC electrical system. So nandito tayo sa right side ng diagram, if you could see this one. Everything here is DC, okay? Yung PV natin, DC ka na. Batteries, DC. There's no inverter, DC dyan. Then we have loads which are also DC. Okay, then we have still some loads which are AC driven, but you need also, dito mo kailangan yung inverter, yung from DC to AC. Okay, then DC microgrid. Mga ganon sa load. So this is how we treat this one. Okay, so maraming dyan, mababawasan yung mga heat losses because now you are directly, putting up the DC sa mga PV, sa battery, sa EV, directly on what we call the DC microgrid, and you use DC also to power up your loads. Now, how about yung utility? It's always AC grid. Now, we have what we call yung the new na ito bagong device na nandito sa gitna wherein we put the DC going to AC. Again, ito dalawa, Still the inverter is here for the DC to AC. So nandiyan pa rin, nandiyan ang load. So this type of architecture, ito ngayon yung ginagawa. Lahat ng product standards related to this, some are already developed and still being developed. So pinag-uusapan din yung new ways of architecture, protection and control, because it's very important to have a proper protection. Otherwise, magkakaroon tayo ng mga problema dyan. So these are being considered in the development of these standards. And also, these are tested. So a lot of project initiatives arise all over the world. So here in the Philippines, we have to be aware of this, what's happening. Sa highly industrial countries, ginagawa na ito. Then including medium voltage. So we are not talking about low voltage DC, but also LV DC in distribution systems. So yan yung ngayon, yung emerging architectures. Then next is this one, the prosumer electrical installation installation with DC distribution system, yung connected to the distribution network. So ito yung kanina, yung number 18 na ito. This is what we call now, there is a dedicated standard for this number 18. Ito, number 18 na ito. We call it the isolated interlink converter. So IIC. Ito yung bago ngayon with local sources interconnected through converters to a DC distribution board. So kung ito, bidirectional ito, no? Okay, yung AC mo pwedeng pumunta pa dyan, or yung DC bus mo pwedeng mag-supply sa AC. So the DC project is in progress. So ito, I think it's done already, but nire-refine na lang ito ng technical committee involved on this one. So it will come out soon. Okay? So there's a single standard to cover AC and DC prosumer installations. Ito yung bagong interlink. It's in the IEC 63532, yung interlink converter na tinatawag. Then of course, we have yung nandyan palagi yung DCRCB as protection against electric shock, yung IEC 634-1 or the 63053-2. Then ito ngayon, yung magulat kayo, makakita ko ngayon yung tinatawag na semiconductor circuit breakers, no? Wala na yung switching, yung normal na MCCB, ACB na nandiyan na nakikita natin. Now, this is developed now. For example, well-known na manufacturers, pinakita sa amin doon sa isang technical committee meetings namin from Europe, na nakita natin na meron na. Then this one is in 60947-10, yung semiconductor circuit breakers. Okay? Then a method to evaluate circuit characteristic for the proper selection of semiconductor CBs. So kailangan lahat yun, ang product standard. So a new circuit classification reflecting the possibility to have distributed sources. Ito rin, meron tinatawag na pre-charging, yung DC circuits. Okay? So merong charger dyan na i-charge mo yung DC circuits mo. So intertripping for circuits supplied by more than one source. And now there's a technical report, 63282, which define now the DC voltage characteristic, and the stray current mitigation. So ito yung kanina, yung concern natin, yung mga harmonics na pwedeng makaka-effect dun sa DUs. So this one is being discussed now, yung gagawa, yung ginagawa ng itong mga standards na ito. Okay? And now, let's dive into the prosumer energy efficiency clauses dito sa 1.52.14, 1.5.2.15. So two of the most important and significant additions to the fundamental principles are the clauses 1.5.2.14 for energy efficiency and 1.5.2.15 for prosumers. Under these clauses, an installation is no longer designed purely to safely handle a maximum calculated demand load. So the configuration of the installation must now actively factor in the optimization of energy consumption. So i-optimize na natin. So it establishes the fundamental principles of protection against electric shock and thermal effect must hold true. So hindi natin ikukuha yung safety aspect ng installation, para sacrifice yun. And even when electricity is being fed back into the utility grid or the local microgrid. So we should not forget that, yung safety, na napakahalaga whenever you in your own home use, you bring back yung feedback, you bring back your power to the source of energy, yung sa DU natin. We have to consider all required protection, safety protection doon sa installation. So as a local designers, this means we must explicitly address issues like yung bidirectional overcurrent protection. Hindi lang yung bidirectional na kilowatt-hour meter natin, but of course yung bidirectional overcurrent protection. Yun, yung mainit na issue ngayon, yung kailangan meron tayong islanding hazards protection, yung mga inverters natin when the AC is off, then the DC natin must shut off, so not to put back the power onto the utility, then it will result in hazard to the yung mga nagme-maintain sa network natin, and also a localized power quality right at the concept phase. So yan yung importance ng mga clauses na yan. And next is the life cycle and verification. Kanina binabanggit natin yung major, yung paradigm shift. Ito yung shift ngayon sa clause na ito. Historically, codes focus heavily on the initial design and the inspection right before turnover. So doon lang tayo nag-focus ngayon Pag testing commissioning, tapos na tayo. Okay, but now that 2025 edition, it introduces a strong recommendation for maintaining the effectiveness of safety measures via, paano yun? Periodic verification. Ito na yung mga preventive maintenance, annual preventive maintenance. So throughout the entire lifetime of the installation, this changes the game for engineering maintenance operations, giving us a stronger standard framework to enforce safety audits on aging facilities. So furthermore, this close technology is moving faster than standard committees can write product code. So napakabilis, ano? This clause provides a regulatory pathway for us to implement innovative materials or methods that do not have an active product standards yet. So ito yung paano natin i-address yun, no? So it provides the engineers so technical, no, justification and prove that an equivalent safety level is achieved. So this prevents standards from choking local engineering. So napakahalaga niyan, no, that we can justify yung mga products na hindi pa nasasakop ng standards. Now, we have a new terminology, system referencing conductor, no? Sa in-highlight ko ito because it's very important, no? Yung kung na ito, yung wala yung graphic symbol, hindi ko na. So, this is what we call the SRC, no? A dedicated functional conductor utilized to anchor a system reference voltage, particularly crucial, no, in complex. Ito ginagamit sa DC distribution, microgrid, and electric vehicle configuration. So why it matters? What it solves grounding ambiguity in highly isolated or floating power generation subgrids common in modern hybrid infrastructure. So now, why do we need this? In advanced DC distribution networks, floating microgrids and isolated EV charging hubs, traditional earthing references can become ambiguous. So the SRC is a functional conductor which utilizes specifically to anchor system reference voltage without necessarily tying it to a traditional protective earth or a neutral in the way we are used to stand in the AC systems. So when you begin reviewing equipment schematics, for example, for multinational industrial projects, and moving forward and looking out for this SRC designation. So this type of referencing is very important in the functionality of the provisional grounded conductor neutral or the equipment grounding conductor. For example, we compare this one sa kwan natin, yung Article 250 about the EGC. So, minsan, we are going to ask ourselves, are we changing how we ground the system? The answer normally is no, because the foundational physics of earthing do not change, yung foundational physics. So the introduction of the system referencing conductor in this standard is a nomenclature update driven by the multi-source AC-DC microgrids and prosumer systems. So ang technical distinction nito is that in the standard AC systems, we use neutral N or PEN, PEN. But in a DC system, we use a midpoint. Merong midpoint palagi yan or line conductor. So the SRC serves as the overarching term for any conductor that intentionally connects a circuit's active reference point to the earthing system. Number one, that is to stabilize the voltage to earth. For traditional AC systems, your design remains a grounded conductor neutral. However, when you draft complex single-line diagrams featuring a solar array, battery storage, and an EV charger sharing a common DC bus, you will designate the grounding reference line as the SRC. So this simplifies labeling and prevents engineers from incorrectly using AC terms like the neutral on a pure DC link. So yan, maliwanag yung what is the use of the SRC. Kaya hinighlight natin ito sa standards. Now, local adoption as Philippine national standard. So how this translate to our shores? So the Bureau of Philippine Standards under the DTI systematically adopts international guidelines as Philippine National Standards or PNS. With the BPSDC 77s, where I chair this committee, so the 60364 series is adopted locally under this framework. So we study the standards, then we recommend it for adoption, but BPS, of course, this has to be circulated for notice for adoption among all the stakeholders. So ilalabas yan until the time na walang comment, okay, then we will for export adopt it as a PNS. So as IIE members, so we play an active role in technical committees that review these documents to recommend specific national deviations if there are any deviations. So ensuring that global standards account for our unique tropical climate, high ambient temperature, high humidity, and distinct seismic reality. So lahat kami doon sa TC77 and all the most technical committees for electrotechnology, halos IIEE members. So our voice is there as an IIEE, nandun tayo. Then, because this is standard, imagine, this is international. Minsan makakita tayo, merong requirements sa mga snow, mga ganon, sa mga extreme high, yung temperature, masyadong mababa, yung mga negative. So, this one, of course, there are deviations na ina-adjust natin siya, which are not, of course, applicable sa ating local condition. And the trend in the Philippine government, procurement, and large-scale infrastructure development heavily favors aligning directly with PNS IEC frameworks to ensure global supply chain compatibility. Now, meron tayong mga bagong lalabas na Department of Energy, mga circulars, policies. Of course, makikita natin ngayon dyan yung mga IEC standards, mga devices. And of course, merong mandatory certification daw na ilalabas na which are also under, both of these are under public consultation. So it's very important na we review this. We have a common stand, as IIEE about all these policies and regulations na ilalabas, because ang main one dito, ang main involved dito when it comes to technical matters is concerns are the electrical engineers. So for us, nasa field tayo, most of us are installers, most of us are designers. So I think ito yung call dito na let's join forces, hands together to check on this one. Hindi na natin pabayaan na basta may lumalabas na mga ganyan policy or regulations na it will affect our installations. Of course, there is commercial or economical aspect, yung implication, but more importantly sa ating professions kasi we have also always based it yung safety aspects, yung safety ang main kwan natin dito. Yung concern natin dito, whatever policy is being brought out or any regulations sa government, let's see to it na we are part, our voice is there, andun tayo na kung tayo marinig at mailagay yung kung ano yung dapat nararapat sa ating safety, of the installation. Okay? And harmonization, ito, let's talk about harmonization. Malaking subject ito, So, as we know, the PEC, tawag natin dual heritage, So, because the PEC is historically a direct descendant, of the US-based National Electric Code, NEC, and FPA 70. However, it heavily integrates foundational elements from the IEC. So, ano yung core alignment niyan? So, the PEC explicitly states that its requirements address, ito yung nasa part 1, Article 1, of address the fundamental principles of safety and protection outlined in Section 131. Still, ginagamit ko rito, Section 131, because this is what is written. So later, sa bagong version natin, bagong edition ng PEC, we will put now the reference yung 1.3, mga ganon, di ba? So we will update it accordingly. So kailangan dito muna kami magre-reference. So let's see this one, yung fundamental principles. If PEC really, or NEC, address the requirements. So it means to say that the IEC 60641, can you use it as an alternative sa installation mo? So kung sila, they both address or sabihin natin considers, so ibig sabihin, ina-accept, it's being accepted by the code, the requirements when it comes to safety, before the protection for safety, they are using, but the process only on how to meet the requirements, doon lang tayo nagkakaiba siguro, how to implement it. But for sure, as electrical engineers, we have to really to study, tignan natin mabuti kung saan magkakaroon ng problema, because in adopting also the PNS, we mentioned importantly na if there are any deviations or there are what we call this conflict between the PEC and the IEC standard, so sino magpe-prevail? Of course, our PEC, no, ang magpe-prevail dito. So it means to say that the PEC is the minimum requirements of our installation. So as a designer, we can always use the IEC standards, but we ensure that we have to see that the level of safety is the same or more than the level of safety required by the Philippine Electrical Code. Hindi tayo pupunta doon sa bas mababa because that will be a substandard installation. So doon tayo magkakaproblema. So system differences to a note. So PEC and EC grounding is organized strictly by neutral to earth. So dalawa lang yan, grounded and ungrounded system. Sa Article 250, but in IEC, merong mga distinction. Strict efficient letter code system, the TN, okay, the TT, and the IT earthing networks. Actually, the TN and the TT, ito yung mga grounded systems. Kasi naka-ground yung neutral ng transformer or yung midpoint of the transformer, the source, is grounded, yung corner grounded. So, grounded system yon. But when it comes to ungrounded, ito yung IT, yung isolated, yung neutral ng transformer or any part of the source, hindi siya naka-ground. Then, ganito yan. But there are usages. May mga application kasi ito. So, we can do that. We can use this one. And practitioners must master the design cross-references para magamit natin kasi minsan pag nag-specify tayo, we just use a general term, grounding system. But kung titignan mo yung installation, nandyan yung TNS. Di ba? Very common. TNS, nandun palagi siya sa ating mga installations. So, next, let's go to the Philippine Electrical Code PEC alignment with IEC. Kanina, I have explained the protection against electric shock. So if you could see here, IEC 131.1, the principle of protection must be provided against shock from direct, ito yung contact, live parts and indirect exposed conductive parts during a fault. So we have to address that one. So sa alignment sa PEC, this is achieved through the code's strict mandates and insulation, enclosure, systematic equipment, grounding, banding, and the requirements installation of a ground fault circuit and GFCIs in specific locations. Dito kasi sa IEC, you have to go to use the basic protection at saka yung fault protection na tinatawag. But there is what we call yung enhanced protection or additional protection. This is putting up, including, you include yung residual current device, RCD. Pero sa PEC kasi, nandun palagi, yung GFCI, dun sa requirements and certain locations of the building or installation. Okay? And protection against thermal effects, the principle is 131.2. The installation must be designed to eliminate the risk of ignition of flammable materials due to high temperature or electric arcs. Sabi nga kanina, I attended yung fire safety sa India through online. And may sinabi dun yung isang speaker, which is very good, para sa atin yung very common instances na ginagamit natin na prevention is better than cure. Okay? Kasi nga, kung may sunog na, anong gagawin mo na? Papatay mo yung apoy, then marami kang gagawing efforts. But before na dumating yung magbasunog, then you have to prevent it from being causing a fire. So ito yun, yung proper protection, yung protection against thermal effects. So this is now yung prevention rather than the cure. Okay? So PEC alignment, the PEC addresses this through stringent and positive for conductors, precise OCPD, sizing, and specific wiring methods tailored to the surrounding environment such as hazardous or high temperature locations. And protection against overcurrent, the principle of this one, of IEC, is persons and property must be protected against injury or damage due to excessive temperatures or electromagnetic stress caused by overload or short circuit. So mostly, ang pinoprotectionan nito, if we know, is the conductors. And it's the same with PEC. Also, it protects the overcurrent protection is intended to protect yung mga yung mga conductors in the installations. Okay? Ayan, conductors or equipment sustain the damage. Then there's the fourth one, which is very important, protection against voltage disturbances. Okay, 131.5 ng IEC is protection must be provided against the effects of overvoltages. Ano yung mga yan? Yung lightning or switching surges. And of course, under voltage. So, kailangan natin yung SPDs, surge protective devices. Dito or sa lightning naman, lightning arrester. Okay, and PC alignment addresses these hazards through its dedicated articles on surge protective devices, okay, nawala na yung TVSS dun, so SPDs na, lighting protection integration and proper system grounding configuration to stabilize voltage to ground. So pareho yung purpose nila. So if you say now that PEC address the requirements, ano, yung fundamental requirements ng IEC, then this is the, the explanation doon sa kanila relationship, yung alignment ng dalawa. Okay? Then legal frameworks. Do we have any legal frameworks na pwedeng gamitin? Can we legally use the IEC standard in our local projects? Probably some will say no, some will say yes. Okay. But if you say yes, provided that we follow the enabling clauses built into the PEC itself. Kasi if we use circuit now, the reality is that normally we size our circuits based on the Philippine Electrical Code. Yan ang reality, no? But when you use a protective device, maraming IEC. Halos majority is IEC products, no? Yung ginagamit natin. But of course, our designers, our engineers are intelligent to use their design to what we call harmonize this two properly, no, in the installation. So pwede namang ma-consider because if the level of safety ang pinag-uusapan natin is more than what's the PEC prescribes, as required, then okay lang yon. But we have to check it, properly, analyze yung mga designs natin. So it's very important to follow this one. So yan yung legal framework natin, but sometimes it's very difficult kasi minsan ang obo naman natin sabi ang ginamit mo. Sometimes they say na dapat GFCI, ang gagamitin mo, but normally you cannot use GFCI in the installation because the voltage line to ground is more than what GFCI can sustain, because ang GFCI natin, we know that is 150 volts line to ground yung application, but if you go to a 400 volt system, 230 volts ang line to ground mo, then there is a issue, there is a problem. So what you are going to do, gumamit ka ng RCD, di ba? And of course, the safety of RCD is protection against electric shock. So nandun siya. So you don't have to worry about it. As long as this product complies with the requirements of the standards pertaining to the product, to the product standards, then after that, yung installation rules ng IEC, gamitin mo yung installation rules na kung ano requirements, for the protection of safety. So this is very important, really, to understand the requirements for the standards. Okay. Then we have another one, the enforcement, interpretation. Ito, dun kasi sa quad natin, sa PEC natin, if I check this one, parang merong nawala dun. I don't know the reason why. Pero normally, if you follow the framework of the NEC o yung previous na quad natin na PEC, parang meron yun . So let's talk about now kung halimbawa ma-adapt natin, if really we adapt the latest version ng NEC in our code, then this is what is being mentioned, that we can have a legal framework for IEC to use in the NEC, for example 2026. So ma-adapt natin yon. So enforcement and interpretation, nakalagay dito sa Article 90.4 ng NEC, meron siyang requirements doon na the AHJ, yung OBO nila doon, is responsible for interpreting the code and deciding if specific installations are safe and compliant. So permitting, sila nag-issue ng permit, di ba? So equipment approval, the AHJ decides if unlisted and unlabeled equipment can be used and accept listed or labeled equipment based on its installation instruction. So napakahalaga nito, meron ng manufacturer's instruction doon na dapat sundin, hindi na basta-basta pwedeng baliwalain, kasi minsan merong instruction, tinatapon lang ng electrician, they don't follow what's mentioned, the instruction doon sa product, Then ito yung napakahalaga, yung tinatawag natin special permission, which dapat meron talagang clear, dito sa code natin, yung the AHJ can grant, mag-grant siya ng special written permission to allow alternative methods or materials if they provide, ito yung ngayon, tinatawag na equivalent level, ay nawala, yung of safety. Merong safety rito, safety. Okay? Then, meron ding waivers for new products. Halimbawa, merong mga product na bago, new provisions in cases where new product of technologies emerge and code requirements are lacking or non-existent, silent yung code natin. So the ASJ is permitted to allow the use of products, construction, or materials that comply with the most recent previous edition. So yung past edition, kung makikita mo doon na pwede mag-comply, gagamitin mo. Kung hindi, pupunta ka na naman doon backward. But nevertheless, meron ng requirements dito na this could address probably some of our pag nakuha nito, yung mga obos natin, allowing to use IEC products. So evaluation. So the ASJ has the authority to require evidence such as manufacturer documentation or evaluation by testing laboratories to prove equipment safety. So meron tinatawag na performance test yung mga product natin based on standards. So alam natin, halos ng products sa solar energy installations, lahat yan, we could see different performance test standards. Pag na-require, submit mo ito, submit mo. But above all this one, alam naman natin na sa ating OBO, they just issue permits based on that. Pero alam natin na yung installation natin is being signed by our professional electrical engineers. So, ang burden nito is mostly on our engineers, yung tayong mga PEE, designing the installation according to the requirements. Then, of course, yung OBO, sometimes kung wala silang expertise dito, they are mandated to do it. So tayo as professional electrical, yung mga electrical practitioners, we have to design it properly according to the design, according to the requirements of the standard and the code. So we can use both as reference in our design, without having any problem. So ito yung magiging legal framework mo ngayon na gagamitin pag gumawa ka ng design based dito sa requirements na ito, if this will be adopted in our new code. And I hope it will be done, maibalik siya. Kasi sa previous NEC, nakita ko, nandun lahat yung mga permission, deviations. But I don't know bakit dito sa 2017 natin, nawala. Maybe it's that way, yun ang nangyari. But anyway, it's good to have some sort of a framework to use other standards. But of course, we know the IEC is international standard. So ito yung pinakamalapit kasi binanggit na rin yan sa code natin, yung relationship niya sa international standards. What else? Ito yung equipment versus installation. So ito yung dual framework na nangyayari sa atin sa Philippines. Currently, this is our practice. So products and manufacturing, gumagamit tayo ng IEC standards or the Philippine National Standards, PNS. Ginagamit natin. So practical application, for example, switch gears, inverter, solar modules, lithium-ion batteries are manufactured, tested, and certified under IEC frameworks. Okay, IEC 62109, very common ito sa inverters, 61730 for PV modules. So this IEC are all adopted now as a PNS. So of course, we have also the UL, UL standards na may mga na-adapt na rin. Whatever, pero nandun mga standards ito. But UL, just be reminded that UL is a what we call a regional standard, hindi siya international. Di katulad ng IEC, the way how IEC dealt with standard is different from how UL is adapting yung mga working. But of course, both of course is for the safety of the product and the installation. Na-address pareho yan. It's a common ground na nandun palagi yung safety. And meron tayong system installation. Ito na ngayon yung PEC natin, mandatory baseline. You design according to the PEC requirements, yung conductor sizing, yung derating when you use it in a conduit, more than 3 ways in a conduit. So meron ka mga derating. So a lot of things now. Temperature din, so meron kang derating factors. So sa practical application, the physical installation, including conductor, ampacity, derating, overcurrent, and so on and so forth, system grounding, topology, mas strictly. Ito ngayon yung strictly to be followed. So ginagawa natin yan kasi kung magsasubmit ka ng drawing ngayon, gumamit ka ng IEC doon sa design mo, baka i-reject yan ng what we call the OBO natin, di ba? But anyway, now again, the responsibility now sa ating mga PEs na nakaatang ito and using both itong tinatawag na dual framework. Ang tawag nila sa ibang bansa sa atin, hybrid tayo rito . Hybrid yung one natin, how we we see our installation, no, with regards to the product and the system installation. Okay? Next, so I have still, malapit na. So we have the core safeguard. Ito ngayon, yung tayo yung gwardiya. Because we are mandated sa RA 7920. Ito yung titignan natin, tayong mga professional electrical engineers and supposed to be yung magiging PEE na rin. No? You be guided accordingly na if a project requires the deployment of an international standard, for instance, applying yung sa battery, we have the IEC or PNS IEC 62933 for best safety, yung battery energy storage system, or for yung 62446, no, yung solar testing, yung solar panel testing. So the legal framework shifts the entire burden of proof. Ito na ngayon, yung burden of proof and safety liability onto the sino? Tayong mga professional electrical engineers. So it's very important to be aware of the standards, para sa ganon, safe yung mga natin, yung mga design natin sa installations. So under RA 7920, ito yung PEE must provide a comprehensive, signed and sealed design analysis to legally use a foreign standard where the PEE is silent, for the PEC is silent or ambiguous, the PEE must document this. Ito i-document natin yan. So kanina, AI pinag-uusapan, ito yung hindi magagawa ng AI. No? AI can shorten your time in creating probably drawings. Even I have an automated AI generation ko sa mga drawings ko. I'm using that, pero napakabilis talaga, and developing especially multiple pages of design, cross-referencing, yung routing ng mga, for example, the cable in raceway, wireways. So yun, napakabilis noon talaga. But of course, you have to analyze, yung mga design na yan. Hindi basta iwanan mong ganyan. Otherwise, magkakaroon tayo ng issue, So, yung equivalent, titig natin yung equivalent of safety. So demonstrating that the foreign standard meets, ito ngayon, or exceeds the fundamental safety objectives of the Philippine Electrical Code. Absence of conflict, proving that the chosen international method does not explicitly violate an existing mandatory rule in the PEC. Okay? Manufacturer compliance, for example, showing that the equipment is certified, ito yung napakahalaga sa lahat, certified by an accredited testing body. Sino-sino yung mga ito? Yung TUV, UL, or Intertech, marami yan, conforming to the adopted Philippine national standards. So meron tayong PNS, actually yung PNS natin, totoo yun, minsan ina-adapt natin sa IEC, sa UL, but of course we are here, so gamitin natin yung PNS natin, because the PNS is a voluntary usage niyan, voluntary lang yan, so pwede mong gamitin. We adapt it as a PNS because we know that it serves our purpose here in the Philippines as a reference for any design, installation, lagat, kahit na yung crossing, yung tawag dito, yung trade barrier, mawawala because we are producing some products based on PNS, and the PNS is related to international standards. So pwedeng pumupunta, magkocross yung mga product natin. So all these barriers, trade barriers, ma-avoid natin, and which are largely harmonized with IEC standards through the Bureau. Alam natin, ang BPS, they are mandated to adopt international standards. Okay? Then, anong time na? 60 minutes na. Sandali na lang. Then action plan for local electrical practitioners. So, transition, your reference framework. Kung meron kang project, upgrade your knowledge from the 2005 edition to the 2025 layout. So, available na ito, in just a few weeks. Malalabas na yan sa BPS. Then you can acquire the copy of the standards, para magamit. Then design for prosumer. So, this now is a very common installation na sa ating bansa. So incorporate bidirectional safety, anti-landing parameters, and energy monitoring directly into the local designs. So enforce life cycle maintenance, fits periodic verification contracts to industrial and commercial clients using the new IEC Security for Part 1 life cycle provisions as a professional benchmark. So actually, when you do the design, pwede nyo nang ilagay ito na magkaroon ng preventive maintenance requirements dun sa installation, which is a recommendation as a mandatory requirements of this standard. So let's master the earthing system, transition dito sa tinatawag nating SRC. Now, there are three core takeaways na babanggitin ko rito. So, as we wrap up today's session, let's remember three core takeaways. So, technology outpaces the code. Mabilis yung technology. So, the low voltage electrical landscape in the Philippines is changing rapidly. Between rooftop solar, localized battery storage, and the nationwide push for electric vehicle charging, we are no longer just designing passive distribution systems. We are designing active power networks. So number two, IEC is our blueprint. While the Philippine Electrical Code remains our legal law of the land, PEC dito sa Article 1.011D explicitly points to the IEC 60364 series for our safety foundations. So embracing the 2025 edition isn't about ignoring local rules. It is about anticipating where our local rules are going in future-proofing our active designs today. So safety is a good business. Investing in a proper DC fault isolation, mastering the new system, RC, reference system, SRC, and engineering for system efficiency may require tougher conversations with project developers regarding budgets. But as a licensed professionals, our ultimate duty is the protection of life, property, and our own professional liability. Okay? So let's not wait for the next edition, for example, our code, to be printed out to start designing safely. Let's bring these global 2025 principles into our corporate designs, design templates, our plans, reviews, and probably in our chapter discussions, immediately or as soon as possible. So on this note, I want to thank everyone. So maraming salamat po sa lahat at mabuhay tayo dito sa ating technical summit na ito. So thank you very much. Now, kung mayroong mga question, we could have this one. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Ayun. Thank you so much din po, Engineer Conrado C. Binondo. A warm round of applause naman para sa ating napakagandang topic for this afternoon. Ayan. So we have some few questions, sir, dito.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it is already, sir, addressed on your presentation, but better siguro if sa inyo naman gagaling, sir. So, question from Engineer Jason Sonido. Hello po, is this standard being adapted to our PEC?
The full
Yes,
standards. Actually now, the standard as PNS is voluntary, ang kanyan. If PEC, for example, you can adapt some part and para maging mandatory requirements. But until na ito'y ma-adapt, and actually I'm explaining here yung possible na adoption because merong relationship when addressing the safety of installation. So I hope na makita ng code committee wherein magamit ito. But as far as we are concerned as electrical engineers, we can always use this in our design because kung nakikita natin yung level of safety ng design natin is equivalent or above the requirements of the code, pwede yun. Nobody will stop us. Kanina, yung dalawang framework na pinakita ko about the materials and the installation, makikita natin yung installation design, process, wiring design, ampacity. We base it the PEC kasi yun ang requirements. But there is a product na hindi naman na-address nung PEC, so we can use the IEC requirements. Okay? So that's how we deal with it.
Thank you so much po, Sir Conrad. And since there is no questions na po dito sa ating chat box, so parang malinaw naman po sa mga members natin yung naging discussion. And we are now going to proceed on the awarding of the certificates. Ayan, allow me to read the citations. Institute of Integrated Electrical Engineers of the Philippines Incorporated would like to present this certificate of recognition to Engineer Conrado C. Binondo for imparting valuable insights as resource speaker on the topic PNS IEC 60364-1 Edition 6 Low Voltage Installation during the 2026 Technical Summit held on June 27, 2026 at IIEE National Office. Signed by Engineer Frederick R. Calamlam, the National Secretary, Engineer Joseph Darren Claire S. Solicar, the National Vice President for Technical Affairs, and Engineer Robert U. Mabulay, the National President. Thank you so much po once again, Engineer Conrad.
Thank you everyone, colleagues. So see you again. MMRC, we'll be
Yes,
talking
sir.
about the same topic. Okay, thank you,
Thank you. Thank you.
technical committee. Thank you very much. Bye.